if you're my friends, you might notice how I hoard a few electronics. Like, you see me, there's, like, look at this. If I go back here, you'll find this old busted fan. Like, I don't know if I can get it up higher to show you, but, you know, here it is. Here's a busted fan. Or things like little speakers. Like, here's a speaker. You want, and you might wonder why. It's really a fan and a speaker. What's so special about it? Well, one of my favorite lanthanide is in these things. This is, in my opinion, the best lanthanide on the periodic table. Neodymium. Now, it looks like a normal metal, you know, it looks pretty nice, but, of course, it is a magnet. Man, I wonder how much stuff can get on this thing. You kind of get it now. I love these. My God, this thing keeps showing off. This thing is fun. Now, you know, they're just magnets. Why are magnets my favorite? Well, what the hell? Wait, what? What? These are copper. What? I don't know. I think this is actually... I wonder if it's infused with iron. But the thing is... Yeah. God damn. These things... Sorry. This magnet's hard to contain. So... I've took it upon myself to get these wires, and one day I'll wire it around my magnet and hopefully make an electromagnet, those are cool. And to add on to that, there's actually a thing, you know, motors. Motors, you cannot make a motor without a magnet. Now, in my home, in this summer, I want to experiment on a free electrical device. But I need to break a law. A law that is harder to break than murder. And no, it's not a crime. A law that's harder to break than, you know, any other law. Everybody has to follow this law. Even the presidents of the world. It's called the law of the conservation of energy. And you know, if you know about chemistry and crap, you'll know that the law of conservation of matter means one thing. For example, let's say, like, you know, I have a little, like, nickname for it. I call it the box theory. So, imagine our world and everything in the universe. All the stars, and all the planets, all the stars, all the nebulas, all that stuff. Everything is inside this box, right? And we have materials. Now, imagine this. You can't get the materials outside this box. You can't get any of them inside, which means that, you know, for example, we're just stuck with how many... For example, if we have like 1 trillion tons of iron, which there's more than that. Let's say we have 1 trillion tons of iron. We cannot destroy that iron. We cannot create more. However, we can rearrange it molecularly. For example, we could take hydrogen, 2 hydrogen atoms, and fuse them into a helium atom. Stars do that. It's called fusion. But there's actually a pretty big rule breaker of this. Black holes. And I actually, earlier today, I was thinking about a black hole. You know, what happens is, once something goes in, it doesn't come out. And, you know, I know it's fiction. I know it's fiction, okay? But I've actually, you know how like that one dude on Stranger Things says that there's actually a world, i.e. the Upside Down. It's an alternate reality, and only some things can cross it. Well, that's where I'm thinking of. For example, it might be another person's theory, but my theory is that there are infinite realities. For example, there could be a reality where I've killed someone, or there could be a reality where I was a girl. There could be a reality where I didn't have autism. There's infinite realities. There's infinite versions of myself. There's infinite versions of yourself. There's infinite versions of everyone. Maybe there's a reality where the Nazis won. They took over the world. Or there's one where maybe cancer was cured. You kind of get what I'm saying, but we cannot cross into that. My theory is that, well, maybe like how everything is opposite, alternate. My only theory of how to get into another dimension is the black holes. Is that this actually a theory? Is that there's a dimension on the other side called the alternate dimension, and there's a thing called is spat out on theirs. So it could be a dioded portal, which means that once you go in, you can't come out. However, the bad thing is we cannot get close enough, of course. The reason it's black is because, right now I am being shot up by light right now. Like, there's light everywhere. You can't escape it. And, for example, when a light goes into a black hole, it just gets sucked in, you can't see it. And when there's no light, there's no color and all that stuff. You just can't see it. I'm not saying this is true. You can't say it's true without... you can, but you're gonna look like a retard. But, you can't say, oh, this exists. I'm theorizing. Maybe an alternate reality could exist. Could. But we can't get to it. So, my theory is that the only reason that these realities are connected is because of black holes and white holes. That's the only reason is that disobeys the law of conservation of mass. And, I actually theorize, what about human flesh? That's biotic. People give birth to humans. We've gone from hundreds of people to billions. But I think that's biotic matter. Biotic matter can be duplicated beyond belief. Because, if something like organic can reproduce, then that kind of doesn't abide by it. But the thing is, it doesn't make sense. Once you get something sucked into a black hole, it's gone? Like... in a black hole, where is the stuff going? Like, where is it going? It has to go somewhere. It can't just disappear. It can't just... gone. You can't take a piece of iron and go, gone, you're gone, goodbye. That's not how the universe works. That breaks laws of just... I don't know. Field 4. Yeah, so what I'm saying, you kind of get the gist of what I'm saying. I do believe that there is some sort of alternate version of ourselves. Yeah, as I'm saying, there could be a version of the Earth where it's completely nuked, or, every human is extinct. For example, like, there's so many universes that it's trillions of moles worth of universes. For example, of course, there's a universe, where there's, if I travel to this universe, it's like 5 minutes from now, for example. So for example, right now, there could be a universe that's in BC, and when it hits 4042, in their world, or no, 4042 in our world is 2021 in theirs. You know? Point is, if you're a scientist, this makes plenty sense. Sorry if I overloaded any of you with knowledge. Now, electricity is actually loose, I think it's loose electrons. And it's a quote-unquote, oh my god. Screw these. No, sorry for my bad mic. Hey, it's this mic or no mic? So, electricity is like this quote-unquote substance. It's a type of energy. Energy can flow, it can be stored, it can, like, heat. For example, thermal energy, there's electrical energy, there's radioactive, oh, I know, ionized energy, that's what it's actually called.
This video is sponsored by Brilliant. Let's start with something called a circuit. You have a battery, some wires, and a device that uses electricity such as a light bulb. Electricity flows through the circuit. But as soon as there is a break in the wire, the electricity stops flowing and the light bulb goes off. The path must be complete for the circuit to work.
The reason it's called circuit is because the reason it's called circuit is because it circles, right? For example, here's how it happens. So, for example, energy goes into my outlet, it goes up into my lights, and then the lights, it goes back to the outlet, you know? Now, you know, it circulates and stuff like that, whatever.
Electricity is flowing down the wire. This is called conventional flow. If we take the battery out and flip it, then the current will flow the other way.
This is actually, I'm about to say, it's really interesting.
And the use of a switch. Work differently. This is best done through the use of a switch. Electricity is flowing down the wire. This is called conventional flow. If we take the battery out and flip it, then the current will flow the other way. The light bulb will still work in either case, but there are some devices that will work differently depending on...
Motors are a prime example. For example, when I wired my motor up and it rotated clockwise, right? But you actually take the negative, put it where so for example, this one is positive, this one is negative, so I take the positive, go to negative, and negative go to positive. If I loop it and I reverse it, the motor actually spins a different way. It's interesting. So if you cannot turn your fan the opposite way, just wire it up. Don't do this, but if you really want to be redneck, like, just clip the wire, and you can reverse the effect. It's interesting.
Which way the current flows. Okay, so that's the basics of a circuit. Now let's come over here. This is a magnet. It has a north pole and a south pole, and it likes to attract other metal objects like these paper clips. If you bring another magnet towards it, opposite poles attract.
Opposites attract, the same things will retract.
Magnets don't have to be in this shape. For example, some magnets might be more flat like this. You can think of this magnet as always on, it's always working. You can't really turn it off. That's why it's sometimes called a permanent magnet. It's made up of many smaller magnetic domains that are lined up in the same direction. But later, I'll show you a type of magnet where this is not always the case. Let's take one of our permanent magnets and drill a hole in the center and put it on something that will allow it to spin. Now bring another magnet towards it. Our spinning magnet will immediately line up until opposite poles are right next to each other. Now switch out the side magnet. The same poles repel and opposite poles attract. If we keep switching out these side magnets, then our spinning magnet will just keep spinning. This concept of a spinning magnet is really important. We'll come back to it in a moment. Here's a metal bolt, which is not a magnet. It's made up of magnetic domains, but they are pointing in random directions. Now let's take a wire, wrap it around several times, and then
This is an electromagnet.
the current through the wires forces the magnetic domains to line up. That means we've just made a magnet, or more specifically, an electromagnet. It can do the same things that a permanent magnet can. It can pick up pieces
But
of
it needs
metal
electricity
that
to
has a
run.
north and a south pole, which will attract or repel other magnets. But the electromagnet is special in the sense that it can be turned on or off, just like the light bulb. You can't do that with a permanent magnet.
Interesting.
Now watch what happens when we flip the battery. The electric current was flowing this way, but now it flows the other way. This will cause the poles on our magnet to switch places. North will become south, and south will become north. This is called reversing the polarity of an electromagnet. Instead of flipping the battery, an easier way to do this is to just switch the wires. You should be aware that the electromagnet will get very hot if it's on for a while. Just a caution in case this video inspires any science projects. Let's come back to our spinning magnet. This time we'll replace the spinning magnet with our electromagnet. As soon as we connect the wires, the magnet turns on and it lines up with the side magnet. Now, in reality, connecting these wires will prevent the bolt from spinning freely. But what's important here is the concept of the spinning electromagnet. Now let's switch the wires to reverse the poles on the electromagnet. The same poles repel and opposite poles attract. Now reverse the polarity again. Same poles repel and opposite poles attract. If we keep switching the polarity, our electromagnet will just keep spinning. To make this stronger...
Oh, I remember I failed to explain the law of conservation of energy. How about, let's make an example here. Let's say coal burns and it makes an energy of 1. And let's say maybe charcoal burns and it makes an energy of 1.5. So for example, coal releases a certain amount of energy when it's burnt. And, well, the thing is, ionized energy, i.e. radiation, or UV or X-ray. Actually, UV is actually where it starts to get bad. And once you bring, what's it called, that means, like, you know, there's a certain amount of energy in the universe. You can't add more, you can't reduce more. And I don't want to explain how much it is, because I don't want to give away any false facts. I hate doing that. But if you want to understand it, you need to look it up. It's hell.
Magnet on the side. Notice how this side has the south pole towards the center, and this side has the north pole towards the center. The side magnets work together to spin the one in the middle. This right here shows the very basics of an electric motor. But we need to make a few improvements. The two sides...
One day, guys, I'll make an electromagnet.
Magnets. And instead of a bolt with wires, we're going to use a metal loop. This is called the armature. Connect our wires and we have a circuit again. This time you can think of the electromagnet as flat like this, with the south pole pointing up. Now the armature will spin until opposite poles are lined up. We can keep it spinning by switching the wires just like we did before. But this is a lot of work to sit here and manually switch these wires. We need to add something to the armature called a commutator. It's a ring with gaps on the opposite sides. The commutator will spin along with the armature. Now we connect the circuit with two brushes on the side. These brushes will slide along as the commutator spins, and they are spring-loaded so that they always maintain contact.
Interesting.
The current flows from the wire, through the brush, the commutator ring, the armature loop, and back through the other side. Now we have our electromagnet and the armature spins. As we come around this time,
I love motors.
Switch contact to the other side of the commutator ring.
I feel very few people realize the importance of a motor. Without motors, you can't generate electricity. And now you kind of see where we're going here. No energy, no cooking, no lighting, no heating, no cars. Boom.
The same poles repel and opposite poles attract. Very hot if it's on for a while, which is halfway between commutator segments. What we can do is split the commutator ring and then add another loop. So first, the brushes are in contact with these two commutator segments, which turns on this electromagnet, which causes it to start spinning. Once we get to here, the brushes switch contact to the next pair of commutator segments, which means this loop turns off and the next loop turns on. Now this electromagnet wants to spin. The brushes switch contact and the next loop turns on. This keeps happening as our motor spins. It's almost like the loops will take turns being an electromagnet. Some electric motors will add many loops to the armature. This ensures that there will be a continuous spinning motion on the motor.
It also causes vibration.
This spinning force on the armature is called a torque. Stronger torque means a faster spin. There are some things we can do to improve the torque of the motor. Electromagnets are stronger.
Change the energy or change the amount of armature.
This is true when we wrap more wires around the metal bolt. And it's also true when each of our armature loops are made of many wires. The motor will have stronger electromagnets, which means it will spin faster. If you look at some pictures of real electric motors, you can see lots of wires wrapped around. And yes, this is the same reason. More wires wrapped around means stronger electromagnets. Another way to make this stronger is to use more electricity. Let's learn a few more terms here. The part that doesn't move is called the stator. In this case, it's the two permanent magnets on the side. These fit inside the edges of the motor case. The armature in the middle is also called a rotor. Remember, this is the part that spins. The axle goes through the middle here and then sticks out the back of the motor. What I've shown you in this video is called a DC motor.
A direct current.
That moves and is powered by a battery. There's a good chance there's a DC motor in it. Other types of electric motors will work a little different than what I've shown here. No matter the type of motor, most of them will produce some type of spinning motion. Once it's spinning, we can use this to make different devices move. In this case, a kid's toy. Or even a fan that cools your room. The spinning of the motor can be converted to other types of movement, such as the side-to-side motion that we see in this fan. Or how about this electric cutting knife? Each blade is going back and forth. It all starts with the spinning of the motor to turn a gear, which then pushes these two pieces back and forth. So hopefully this video has made a few light bulbs go off in your brain. If you like learning new things, head on over to Brilliant. This is a problem-solving website and app that focuses specifically.
See, this is why tracks are good for combines.
Like a topic, it starts with the basics, but gradually it gets more complex as you go. For me, I've enjoyed how you can see these concepts visually, like the area of a circle. You get to see why the equation works. The best way to learn is to do it yourself. Master the concepts by solving fun and interactive problems. And look at that, they've even got a course on electricity and magnetism. You can learn more about the concepts you've seen in this video. Brilliant is great for anybody that is curious and likes to learn new things. Whether you're a student learning it for the first time, or a professional who wants to keep their skills sharp. In this video.
Oops.
Same-day. Get same-day pickup, same-day curbside, or same-day delivery. Advance your auto. Advance Auto Parts. But it's a lucky thing. I had my pieces. My gun. Alright, so this is the first cartoon.
And we're continuing the thing I was watching in the video.
2015, Eddie got an update and was now in glorious CGI. It starts off with what I can only describe as a basketball hoop that is made out of shit.
Yes, the
eagle has landed. I honestly don't understand why it looks like this. We then meet Eddie Jr. and his friends
I don't.
as they sing a song about their group, the Wing
Oh
Team.
God. That is how to give anyone vertigo. My dad would not want to watch that.
Oh my God, it's a kid voice actor and they can't sing. How about you, Maya?
I am voice actor, can't sing all day long. My God.
I'm gonna be real. The character designs aren't that bad. Why did you think I was gonna ask you? No, to make a guy to play basketball. That's what I said. And I'm way too busy. Yeah, you know, we gotta count ourselves lucky though. At least the characters aren't rapping. This game got epic thrills. My autism skills.
Spoke too soon.
Hold up. Is that ball egg-shaped? That doesn't make sense. It's just gonna bounce all over the court in different directions. But don't forget, folks, this video is about gun safety. So it was only a matter of time before this happened. Hey! Are you
Thanks, Gun Safety Video. Now you actually make me want to go out and buy a Glock. Too bad it's $700. Like and subscribe, and I actually may just buy a Glock. That is a 1911, possibly a 45 ACP, plus more possible 22 caliber. That's actually dangerous. Run away. I'm not saying don't run away from the shooter. Run your ass away, please. Show kids that when you see a gun, you need to run away. That's teaching them to be scared of.
finding a gun is a dangerous situation?
No. If the other person is a dumbass. Oh my God. Oh God damn, this thing is dead. Hmm.
There's guns in my video game. Real guns aren't the same as the ones in your video game, Jared. Yeah, but it's not the same.
And no, they're not.
It's not the same, you fucking nerd.
My mom always talks.
And no, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna deny this. This isn't true. No game, okay? And this is for anyone who thinks video games make kids violent. No game on the damn earth properly, remember, get this through your head, okay? No game on the face of the earth can properly simulate the actual physics of an actual gun. For example, let's say Fortnite. Fortnite has an LMG that reloads slow, but in COD it's a lot slower. There's no perfect way. And plus, I've actually heard of a person who said that video games are training kids to be killers. Let's see a game. Oh, I have Fallout, and they're okay, I'm gonna be honest. And what's a game that I could have used an AK? In Fortnite, I used the AK a lot. And when I picked up an actual AK, I did not know how to use it. Actually, take that back. I kind of didn't know how to use the AK. The reason is because AKs are hellishly easy to use. You just gotta have more than 2 brain cells to use an AK-47. It's pretty easy. I figured that crap out so fast. But what's it called? A pistol in Fortnite. I used that, and then I picked up the pistol in real life. Actually, no, just cause. There's a bunch of assault rifles, but then I picked up a gun in real life, and I had no freaking clue what I'm doing. And you will too. You will not know what to do with a gun when you first use it. It's so hard, but then it's easy to get into.
I'm sorry I forgot that lesson today.
But
great silk. Like a true fashionista. Hey!
Stop speaking.
Give me the gun. And to wrap things up, they sing the song one more time.
Eddie?
Stop. Don't touch. Run away.
Run away from a little gun.
Don't touch. Run away.
Hella grow. If you spot gun.
This actually tells me, this actually makes me really want to use a gun right now. Like, I'm gonna go shooting out in the backyard right now, my god.
And you will save the day.
You guys all think I'm a hero, and I'll accept that responsibility. Thank God I went down to Gunther's Guns and picked up a spare. I don't think one would have done it. I'm gonna go out and buy some more.
So, yeah, that's Eddie Eagle and the NRA gun safety cartoons. Like I said before, I have no idea who made these cartoons, but it was definitely paid by the NRA.
It's a 16.
On the YouTube channel. There's controversy surrounding the cartoons, though, and how they aren't effective.
They're not.
There was some study back in the day where these cartoons were shown to kids. The kids said that they understood what was being said to them, but when given the opportunity to play with fake guns, actually went for it. So, yeah, the cartoons weren't very effective. Also, there's this thing about how the videos are about avoiding guns instead of parents walking away their guns. How there should be more strict gun safety laws instead of just relying on kids to avoid firearms altogether.
Yeah, I want to say this too, exactly. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't teach your kids to get away from the guns, but, dude, all you gotta do is go out. I'm not saying everybody has the money, but if you have an extra 80, if you could buy a gun and you have an extra $80, go out and go get a safe. Just get, well, it depends. If you, let's say you're running like a pistol, a nice 350, a 338 Magnum or so, just lock it in a little pistol case, or an ammo can. Kids do not know how to open an ammo can. Like, for example, the reason I bought one for my Nerf darts is so that way my little cousins can't get in my ammo and steal it. And they can't, like, my little cousins cannot get in my ammo can. They can't. Because to them it's hard, but to us, teenagers and adults, we know how to get them.
If some kid actually remembers Eddie's song and leaves the gun alone, then cool. Mission accomplished. But for the sounds of it, the cartoons aren't really effective. But that tends to be the case for most people.
Don't touch guns. As every day or so, at least once or twice a week, I'll always go up to my mom. Like, I always go and go look at my guns. I'll always, like, try to fake, you know, I'll loading them, and I'll always mess with them. Ironically, I literally play with guns. Should I do it? No. Is it cool? And I like the little moving parts. Yes. Okay, this one's called What's Ringing Big Sky, and it's a fat 26 minutes. Let's go.
When it comes to animation on the mainstream theatrical level, a few studios come to mind. Pixar, Disney, DreamWorks, Illumination, Sony. But there's one company that finds itself as the odd one out. Blue Sky Studios. Despite being a competitor on the theatrical scene since the early 2000s, Blue Sky has had a difficult time finding a foothold in the industry. They were able to find initial success with Ice Age and have fallen back on it as their main franchise. But unfortunately for them, the years haven't been too kind to it from a critical point of view.
18? 39%? I mean, I personally enjoyed all the Ice Age pictures. Remember, you may not like it, but if... Hey, Horton Here's a Who, that's actually a really nice... That's a really nice, pictures. You know what, think about, okay, just think about right here. I was a little kid. Whatever entertained me, entertained me. And I didn't really care. You know?
But none of them have been as big as Ice Age. There is no doubt that this franchise is their backbone.
It is.
It's not necessarily a good thing. Despite being on the scene for years, Blue Sky hasn't been able to make much of an impact on mainstream audiences. They're more of an afterthought with their films, and don't nearly get as much attention as the other studios. Yes, they have the means to release theatrical films across the world. But very few
I've ridden in one of these combines.
lasting impression on people. Their films show up, they usually do okay, and then they typically fade into obscurity.
Oh, robots. I actually like that. I remember the last... No, not the last time, but I remember when I watched robots. I was vomiting my ass off. No, because I was just sick from school one day. Oh my god, I hated that. Wait. Better get this out of my way. It's farting. Man, that's gassy. Oh, there it goes. It's gone.
And find out what's ruining Blue Sky Studios. The history of Blue Sky isn't as well known as Disney or Pixar, nor is it talked about as much. Again, Blue Sky is kind of the odd one out when it comes to the big animation studios of the industry. That being said, we'll try to cover what we
You know what? I'm in New Holland, so,
Directors at Blue Sky: Steve Martino, Carlos Saldana, and Chris Wedge. These fellows are the main
New Holland. What do you
responsible for
expect?
directing the majority of Blue Sky's films. Chris Wedge is actually one of the founders of the
Pet
studio.
tips, my lady.
With a handful of others. He got his start in the movie industry
My lady.
back in the early 80s and was employed at Maggie. They were sort of the East Coast
Memes for gangsters only.
Chris uses animation and film background and helped
I look like a
create the
thug.
first CGI advertising for IBM. Being part of Maggie, Chris was involved in the first half of the original Tron in 1982. Actually, this was the first computer animation that John Lasseter, one of the founding members of Pixar, had ever seen. In 1983, Lasseter would contract Chris and his fellow workers to help make a movie version of Where the Wild Things Are. This was pretty ambitious because it combined 2D...
Oh my god, that book, I loved it! My dad never puts me to bed, but when he used to, he would always read that to me, and we'd always have a fun time together. Oh my god, that book is so 2010s. I miss those days.
In the mid-1980s, Maggie was sold to Vidmax, but Blue Sky Studios would be formed in its wake. In February of 1987...
My god,
Blue Sky
25%. Or almost
It would
25.
take another 2 years for them to find a client.
I'm doing pretty good on this field.
Crash of 1987.
Look what I found.
What?
No.
Where'd you find that?
I found some loose wire and I wired it up at Dad's.
Where's Dad at?
I don't know.
Where's Ryan at? You still got more to do in your homework.
Yeah. Why the hell is my wire ferric? I don't know why it is ferric. That shouldn't have.
Animated commercials for chock full of nuts, General Motors, Chrysler, U.S. Marines, and the first CGI animated M&M's commercial.
Yes! Oh, then I'm really glad you came by.
Was
Sorry. Here, worker, do the job for me.
Yeah. When I get back, I want to do some more work on your notes, okay?
He is.
In 1996, Blue Sky would animate the cockroaches and the movie Joe's Apartment, which, by the way, still holds up to this very day. Throughout the 90s, they would do commercial work for more companies. Bell Atlantic, Rainovac, Gillette, and Braun, to name a few. They also had a majority stake of them, purchased by 20th Century Fox's VFX company, called VIFX. There, they would work on visual effects for movies, such as Alien Resurrection, Mouse Hunt, Star Trek Insurrection, and Fight Club. During the 90s, Chris Wedge would be working on an animated short called Bunny, to demonstrate the program's CGI studio. Having been a thesis director for Carlos Saldana, he showed him the storyboards, and Carlos helped a lot on Bunny. Soon after, he became an employee at Blue Sky. Bunny would eventually come out in 1998 and won the Oscar for Best Animated Short Film. The success of the short would actually inspire Blue Sky to pursue making their own animated feature films. Around that time, Fox decided to sell VIFX, and were close to selling Blue Sky as well. But Blue Sky was able to change their minds after presenting the script for Ice Age. Now, this was a critical, intense production. Fox had very little faith in it, and many of the executives who worked there thought that they should just sell the film. But Chris and his team had faith in their movie. There is a rumor that Don Bluth was presented the script for Ice Age and was asked to direct it, but that he passed on the film. Around that time, Don was working for Fox Animation, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. But there aren't any concrete sources to prove otherwise. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Who can say?
Isn't there anyone who cares about shit that's lost?
You're not defined by your
Wow.
relapsing multiple sclerosis. Learn about a treatment that may help you delay disability progression in RMS. Explore a treatment option.
That being said, they did bring on some other writers to help with the movie. Some of those writers even had previous experience on The Simpsons. Again, Fox did not have faith in this film. Heck, they were going through their own issues with Fox Animation Studios. Ice Age launched production days after Fox Animation was shut down. So I can understand why they had a little faith. Fortunately for Blue Sky and Fox, Ice Age was a commercial and critical hit. It even got an Oscar nomination for Best Animated Feature. And as we all know, it became a massive franchise. It helped to officially establish Blue Sky as an animation studio. It should also be said that Blue Sky has been nominated for 2 other Best Animated Shorts, Gone Nutty and No Time for Nuts. In 2002, Chris Meledandri, who would later go on to run Elimination, but was working at Blue Sky at the time, said, "The success of Ice Age is something that gives us additional momentum. It's too early to say, but it's certainly something we'll explore." Oh boy, did they explore it.
Where are those good old-fashioned values on which we used to rely? Lucky, family guy, and he's coming up next.
In 2003, Blue Sky signed a multi-year contract with Fox to produce more animated films, including an Ice Age sequel, which they started developing in 2002, despite not having a deal yet. By the way, I'll double back on the individual movies from Blue Sky later on in this video. Just know that Robots, the second movie made by Blue Sky, came out in 2005, and the Ice Age sequel came out in 2006. But in 2005, Blue Sky reached out to Audrey Geisel and tried to get the rights to Horton Hears a Who. Steve Martino, the director of Robots, and scene director Jimmy Hayward presented a model of Horton.
So upsetting how my Horton Hears a Who digital copy, or no, physical copy, has been corrupted.
Access to the Geisel archives, including original artwork and correspondence with Chuck Jones. In 2009, Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs was released and became
One of my favorites, I think.
movie, making nearly $900 million at the box office. It was also the second highest grossing animated movie ever at that time, though it's been bumped down since then. In 2011, there was Rio. Funny enough, it started development back in 1995 and was originally going to be about a penguin washing up in Rio. But after Happy Feet and Surf's Up, they completely overhauled their idea and made a different movie. A movie that was successful.
I like that one.
There was Ice Age: Continental Drift. Like before,
Not one of my favorites.
massive success at the box office, but it was becoming clear that Ice rid of Epic. But Chris Wedge was very passionate about the project. He even took the idea to Pixar and shared it with Lasseter. Turns out that Pixar tried to acquire the rights to the movie, but Fox changed their mind. Now they wanted to make it, but they wanted a different name for the movie, which is why they called it Epic. Right here. In April of 2014, Rio got a sequel. It made over $500 million at the box office.
Damn.
It was the first non-Ice Age sequel produced by the studio, but they haven't touched the property.
I loved in what's it called the second one. They explored the beauty of the Amazon.
In November of 2015. So back in 2006, Frank Schultz, the son of the creator of Peanuts, Carl Schultz, came up with an idea for a Peanuts movie and showed it to his son, Brian Schultz. They then pitched the idea to studios, but wanted to make sure that they had full
This is a lot of corn.
under the Schultz family. Because of the faithfulness Steve Martino showed to the Geisel family when he made 40 Years of Who, Blue Sky was able to get the film rights to the Peanuts movie. The film was very good from a quality point of view, but it only performed modestly at the box office. In July of 2016, there was Ice Age Collision Course. This movie only made half of what it earned last time, but also received abysmal scores from critics. Basically, it was a disappointment. And at the time of this video, the last feature film by Blue Sky was Ferdinand in December of 2017.
Ferdinand is my favorite, or one of my favorites from Blue Sky. My mom loved it because it was a book.
The only other time Blue Sky was ever considered
Shoot, 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 shoot.
outside of the first Ice Age. The next film to be released by Blue Sky is Spies in Disguise. This will also be the first movie released by Blue Sky after being purchased by Disney due to the Fox acquisition in 2019. Also, this is the directorial debuts of Troy Kwan, and Nick Bruno. So this might mix things up. We'll have to see what happens next. But overall, that's Blue Sky's history up to this point. But hey, at least we got Will Smith bird. Hey, Lance, look at me. Look at you. I can see my butt and your face at the same time. Making a difference. Something making a difference. That's
Waterproofing problems in your basement or crawl space can quickly turn into mold, wood rot, and other serious safety and structural issues. Helitech is here to help. Helitech has been your hometown waterproofing contractor for over 30 years. And we're the area's only contractor of HydroWell, the best performing waterproofing system on the market guaranteed. Visit helitechonline.com. They heal my home, they'll heal yours too.
Okay, so I'm going to do a quick rundown of all of Blue Sky's filmography. I'll do a short overview on each movie and share my overall thoughts about it. First, there's Ice Age. It came out in March of 2002, and it did great both financially and critically. To me, I thought it was good. It's a bit much at times, but overall, the setting, characters, and story are fun. I'm just surprised the series never went back to the kid. You think after 5 movies, they would have done that. But, nope.
You know what I'm saying, buddy?
Next, there's Robots in 2005. The film did well at the box office, and with critics too. Personally, I like half of this movie. The half with the fun characters, the interesting setting, and the narrative of constantly having to upgrade yourself, or society will deem you as obsolete. I like those parts. Get it? Parts? Okay, I'm sorry.
These are your 12-year-old parts. They're hand-me-downs.
But the dating samples and references and the fart jokes, yeah, didn't care for that stuff.
Neither did
It
I.
has a lot to offer, but there's enough wrong with the film to cause problems.
Oops.
But hey, at least the setting makes much more sense than the Cars universe. Next, there's Ice Age: The Meltdown. Released in March of 2006, the sequel was even bigger than the original Ice Age in the box office. It goes more to the past of Manny the Mammoth, and how he bumps into a girl mammoth named Ellen. We then follow them
I like this one.
and see how their relationship grows.
2008?
While also having fun with it and fleshing out the story in organic ways. Critics liked it, and so did I.
So, Jojo, what's shaking? What's happening? What's the word?
After that, there's Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs in July of 2009. I prefer this movie over Meltdown, but not by much. I thought it was neat seeing dinosaurs mixed up in the world with prehistoric mammals. Like I said earlier, this movie killed it at the box office and made nearly $900 million. At the time, that was insane.
That is
That's
insane.
still insane. But the movie solidified Ice Age as the premier franchise for Blue Sky. But what about critics, though? Were you killed?
Sadly, yes. But I lived.
Then there was Rio in April of 2011. I like this movie.
Same.
A lot. I really like it. I thought it had a lot of heart. It's about a macaw named Blue, and how he's the last of his breed. Through his misadventures.
Okay, this actually brings up a really upsetting and sad thought. I don't really like, these aren't my favorite, but they're not my most hated birds. You know, I like them, they're pretty cool. But now these guys are extinct in the wild. There's probably only a few thousand of these birds left. It's amazing how much of a horrible species we are to be doing crap like this. Makes me upset. Like, if my kids, if I ever have kids, they'll never be able, they may not know what a blue macaw is. So every time I watch this movie now, I'm going to be remembering that for the rest of my life. Remember, we killed these species of birds.
And falls in love with her. And how they can save their species. Hey, wait a second. You've all done this before.
This looks strangely familiar. It's been here before.
Real talk though, this film was fun. It's very pretty. And was
It is very beautiful.
Take place in South America. We don't get that too often.
Exactly.
Also, did well at the box office and with critics too. And apparently, the story was based on a real-life species of macaw. Oh no, that sucks. Speaking of extinction, that was a low blow. The next movie is Ice Age: Continental Drift, released in July 2013. What happened here? Because the story went off in a very weird direction. Pirates? Okay. Despite performing worse with critics, the film almost made as much money at the box office as before, making it clear to the world that Ice Age is a powerhouse franchise for Blue Sky and Fox.
Oh, my whole familiar.
Then there was Epic in May of 2013. Like I said before, this movie was based on a book, though it did not use the book's title. I actually missed this movie when it came out, and only watched it recently. The setting was interesting, with fairy people, and how this one human girl gets caught up in their world. Actually, reminds me a lot of Thumbelina. The film did okay critically and financially. Once more, that seems to be the calling card of Blue Sky Studios, outside of their Ice Age films, and Rio. Speaking of which, Rio 2. Released in April of 2014, this was the first non-Ice Age sequel released by Blue Sky, and it did great at the box office. Unfortunately, and I apologize for this, but I wasn't able to watch this movie in time before making this video. From what I can tell, though, critics weren't too happy with it, as it did much worse in ratings compared to the first movie.
Just show our blue friends some love. Some poisonous love.
Then there's the best movie of all from Blue Sky, the Peanuts movie. Released in November of 2015. This movie did not do so well financially, but critics loved it, and so did I. This is one of the best movies out there when it comes to staying faithful to the original property. A big part of that, though,
I'm actually doing pretty good on this film.
Blue Sky had was the Schultz family. This film is one of the best examples out there when it comes to a stylized adaptation of an old property. They truly did it justice. And I really wish it would have done better at the box office. It'd be great to see more content like this.
Stupid kite-eating tree.
After Peanuts, there's Ice Age: Collision Course.
Oof.
This film made half of its earnings from last time, and it did awful with critics. Yeah, maybe it's time to rethink this franchise. And finally, there's Ferdinand. In December of 2017.
Movie's a gem.
It's based on a book, except this time we got John Sailor.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about
I'm
this.
sorry, it's an old meme. It's not even that funny. Okay, whatever. The story itself is quite wholesome, and it's about a big bull who has a sweet soul, one who doesn't want to fight, but is being forced to. Personally, I thought the movie was, you guessed it, thought it was okay. Visuals were fine, so were the characters.
I loved it.
And story. Critics thought it was solid too, but it only performed modestly at the box office.
A little something from me to you.
So ends the run of Blue Sky Movies under the ownership of 20th Century Fox. Now they have a new master, one who could be their savior. Or
Oh
their total
god.
downfall. So what's ruining Blue Sky?
Disney is like trying to compete against Disney is like trying to send, like trying to compete against Disney is really like trying to get freaking, like what's it called? It's like you know, anyone that competes with Disney is basically like what's it called? Vatican City trying to invade America. It ain't happening anytime soon. It ain't happening. It's kind of funny how I own more land than the smallest country on the planet. I think. Now, I'm about to say something pretty surprising to you. I mean, I'm kind of surprised, but I love franchises. Like, for example, you know, Just Cause, you know, okay, Just Cause 1, okay, you can run. Just Cause 2, you got a parachute. Just Cause 3, okay, we have mechs that can maybe levitate things in the air. We have, jet, wingsuit. And Just Cause 4 is like, holy crap, we have lightning, we have tornadoes, we have, sandstorms. Oh my god, a frick! Just Cause 4's story felt a little bit shorter. I love Horizon Zero Dawn, and I love how it's getting a sequel. But you know what? Here's my rule. If you make a sequel, you have to make it better or as good as the old one. For example, what do you want to say? Farming Simulator 14, okay? It was bad. It wasn't the worst, but compared to this right here, it was bad. Like, for example, this dust, like, when you empty it out into an auger, it literally looked like dust, or pee. Now it looks like actual corn. Like, from just 15, this game has evolved. 4 years, it's evolved so much. Back then, there was only wheat. Now we have 13 crops. There's only 20 vehicles in the 8 version, I think, on my... There's like 8 vehicles, or 20 items, including, you know, big, like, you have to pay to win. Now, that's gone. You don't have to pay to win. You can just download anything. Like, for example, as I was saying, Horizon Zero Dawn's a good game. But, for example, let's say Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Now, there's only one thing I'm worrying about it, is that if they add microtransactions, or, you know, if they, you know, say, oh, copy-paste the story. Well, that's only going to get you so far. Is that, right now, it looks like it's going to be good.
Made them stand out from the rest of the competition, and make them more than just that one Ice Age studio. But sadly, that never happened.
I saved you, little buddy.
Number 2, a lack of identity. Like I said, many people know Blue Sky Studios for their Ice Age films, and that's really about it. The majority of their other films aren't that well known when it comes to most mainstream viewers. During Thanksgiving, I actually ran down the list of Blue Sky movies with my family, and the only movies they knew were Rio and Ice Age, and that was it. Everything else they couldn't remember, even though I recall watching some of those movies with them back in the day. I'll say it again. Blue Sky had multiple chances to make an impression on audiences with their studio. Everybody knows Disney for their classic films.
Now, the franchise, as much as I hate to say it, a franchise has to come to an end. Now, that doesn't mean, for example, chronologically. For example, don't force someone to live like 150,000 years and say, okay, it's good to the first book, and it's gonna get bad. For example, Star Wars, it wasn't. I mean, the new ones are okay. They're not the best. Like, for example, if Star Wars, we have 9 episodes, but if it went on for, like, let's say 18 or double, then people would be like, hey, maybe laser swords and blasters are getting a little bit boring. So, for example, what I like to do is, for example, you say here and here, and for example, TV shows like, what's it called, Star Wars Rebels, which I don't get it. Star Wars Rebels is actually a pretty nice show. I don't, like, for example, like, I know Star Wars is about laser swords, but it kind of does good at delving into the true evils of the Empire. How they enslaved Wookiees and they made the entire planet of Lothal scared, and they even burnt it. For example, you could actually hear Ezra say that Lothal is dying, and it kind of, like, when they burn it to mine it, and it kind of conveys a little bit of something into my heart. I'm like, oh my god, they're destroying a world just to capitalize off it, and it's upsetting. Yeah.
For their original content and quality, DreamWorks for ogres and dragons and pandas, and even Illumination has notoriety with their talking dogs, singing animals, and the tidal waves of minions. But for Blue Sky, it's just Ice Age, and that's it. Outside of that, they really haven't made much of an impression on people, and it keeps forcing them to fall back on their bread and butter, which, mind you, isn't doing as well as it once was.
If you weren't smart enough to plan ahead, then doom on you! Doom on you. Doom on you. Get away from me.
And finally, number 3, a lack of leadership and vision. Once more, and this is just my personal opinion, so take that for what it's worth, but I believe that Blue Sky doesn't have the right people in charge there. They don't have visionary writers or directors who can take the helm and really do something amazing or make an impact on audiences. Pixar and DreamWorks and hell, even Illumination have people working on films that...
Son. You're back. Poop. Actually, that's good. I can straighten out the... I want something pretty interesting. It's a very, very rare item. Fulgurated wood. You might be wondering, what the hell is that? Fulgurated wood is formed when lightning strikes wood. And what happened on one day is that lightning struck a tree. I have footage of the lightning hitting the tree, and if you look at my Instagram, you'll know that I actually took a picture of the tree that got hit. And I found the exact same tree, but it's so high up in the air and I don't know where to get it. Maybe in a few hours I'll investigate the Fulgurated site.
At least make a lasting impression on their audiences. But for Blue Sky, it's just not there. It's only Ice Age. And once more, that's going downhill fast. And since Ice Age is starting to decline, Blue Sky doesn't really have much to fall back on. And that's due to a lack of people there who can't make things happen. That was quality, but it wasn't what Blue Sky needed to put them back on the map. And the rest of their non-Ice Age films haven't done the trick either. At the end of the day, Blue Sky is an average studio with average leadership making average movies. And if they want to be successful, then that is not enough. Overall, Blue Sky is missing a certain something to make them outstanding. Ice Age makes a ton of money, but each sequel just gets worse from a critical point of view. Peanuts was a quality movie, but it did not do good enough at the box office. Now, I realize that the artists and animators who work at Blue Sky need better direction and ideas to work with. And guess what? We might get that. In March of 2019, Disney bought Fox, and with an acquisition came Blue Sky as well. That's right, folks.
Damn.
Disney owns 3 animation studios. That is insane. Putting the Disney monopoly stuff to the side, I see this.
Disney's a tank.
When Pixar was bought by Disney, they were able
Disney is the killdozer. Like trying to take down Disney is like trying to shoot a killdozer with a 22. It's not gonna happen. I mean, it will happen. You can't stop it.
And it looks like Disney is using the same approach with Blue Sky. Andrew Milstein of Disney Animation Studios and Jim Morris, Pixar, will be taking supervising roles with Blue Sky, while leaving Robert Baird as the co-president of the company. It seems that Disney wants to lend their experience and ideas from their other studios over to Blue Sky and try to help them out. At the time of the release of this video, the newest Blue Sky movie is Spies in Disguise, and Disney actually gave it a decent release date, so it might perform well. Outside of that, though, it remains to be seen what will happen with Blue Sky under Disney's command. Will this be the end of the Ice Age franchise, or are they going to bring it to Disney Plus? Because at the moment, none of their films are there. Will Disney be overly controlling of the studio? Or will they help just enough so that Blue Sky can actually release some worthwhile films? Who can say? Only time will tell.
Elimination.
Watch the Oscars live on ABC, YouTube TV. Try it free.
Shop Denver Mattress today. You get all the Z's you need. And during the biggest sale of the season, check out the Summit Firm for only $229.99, plus 4 years no interest and free shipping. Denver Mattress, the easiest way to get the right mattress.
There's a principle in business. And everybody knows it sound.
Sorry.
In 2010, Elimination Entertainment arrived on the scene and quickly became a contender in the animation industry. As a company, they have a philosophy to create movies on a low budget, to make films that have a wide appeal, and to push those movies as best as they can from an advertising point of view. And with the arrival of the Grinch this Christmas, we are gonna see this guy's face everywhere. Illumination is a studio that is a financial titan, with some of their films breaking $1 billion at the box office. But despite their monetary success, the films seem to lack a certain quality and come across as is average. That even though they have enough potential, talent, and resources, they seem okay with making films that play it safe. Keep it cheap. What is the cause of this? Why do they continue to appeal to the lowest common denominator? And is it a waste of their artistic talent? And how will this affect the animation industry as a whole? Well, let's find out. Elimination began with a fella named Chris Meledandri. He's the CEO and founder of the company and practically runs the show. He got his start back in the early 90s at Disney and worked as a producer on Cool Runnings. A few years after that, he moved on to 20th Century Fox and was an executive in their animation department. He played a big role in the acquisition of Blue Sky Studios and also the creation of their first film, Ice Age. With his help, Fox Animation was able to find success with Blue Sky and the following films. Chris found himself as the president of Fox Animation, but left the company in 2007.
6ix9ine, haha, funny.
Entertainment. There were some folks who followed him from Blue Sky Studio and even Disney, so he had a solid team to back him up. There was now a new contender in the animation industry, and they were ready to make some money. Let's talk about the movies that Illumination has made so far. The first film was released back in July of 2010, and it's called Despicable Me. The premise is
One of the good ones.
named Gru, and how he wants to be the best villain of all time. In the process of trying to steal some technology from a rival, he adopted 3 orphans, and eventually grew close to them, and became their full-time father. I actually like this movie. I thought it was cute and fun, but it also had some heart to it. I mean, yeah, it introduced a monster that would be the Minions franchise, but I personally think it's a good movie. For Illumination, it was an incredibly successful launch for the studio. It only cost about $69 million to make and made over $540 million at the box office. This was a great first step for the studio, and people were excited to see what they would do next.
Please don't go. I'll behave. I'm special. Oh no, really special.
Well, this was an underwhelming follow-up, even by Illumination standards. Pop is a combination of animation and live action, in the same vein as Smurfs or Alvin and the Chipmunks.
That Todd How?
2011, so it was trying to appeal to
Well.
the Eastern demographic, which is an audience, I guess.
What are you up to? Call it Commutator, which is a French for
Did not do nearly as well as this film, both critically and financially. No, I wouldn't call it a failure. It cost about $60 million to make, but made around $184 million. So, at least it made a profit. But the bar was set low for Illumination. And, unfortunately for us, high-quality films aren't their main priority. Don't forget, folks, this is a studio that believes in making relatively cheap stuff that appeals to the masses. Next for the studio was The Lorax in 2012.
Love that.
This wasn't the first time a Dr. Seuss film was made for the big screen. Before The Lorax, there was Horton Hears a Who in 2008. And before that, well, there was this stuff.
This amazing device can instantly make cupcakes out of anything that you have in the kitchen. Wait a minute, did you say anything? Anything. Anything. Yes, anything. 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 I'll get you. And I'll look like a bloody accident.
I looked more into these Dr. Seuss movies.
I'm actually doing pretty nice. You know what? Whenever those sunflowers grow over there, I'm gonna do it. You wanna know why? I know it's dumb, but instead of going 6 miles an hour with a corn head, it goes 7 or even 8, so it goes faster. And I will say, hold on, look.
Yes, anything.
No. Back. Mirror. Question is, how do we get that piece of bulky rated tree from the ground, well, from the sky to the ground? Can't wall up in there. I'm gonna be honest. So I go to this this special dentist. Yes, I know I'm 15. I go to special dentist. But I'm really sensitive who touch my teeth, and the people there, I trust them. Nobody else. It's just one stupid, my one stupid pre-dentist, not from the new place, but the old place. They had to hold me down, and my mom was like, "Nope, we're never coming back here." So remember, whoever that is, I could file for assault. But you're lucky, I'm the nice guy. And yes, I could do that if you physically restraining me. So anyway, and the new dentist is actually really cool. You sit down, you can actually watch movies. This was one of them, and I'm like they put on this real life movie, and in my head I'm like, oh god, this is, no, Christ. I'm like, Jesus H. Christ, please, no, I'd rather watch Barbie.
Anything. I'll get you, and I'll look like a bloody accident.
I looked more into these Dr. Seuss movies. From the looks of it, he never really wanted his books to become full-fledged films, and refused to sell the rights to them. After he died in 1991, his widow had control over his estate, and auctioned off the different properties for a high price. So, yeah, it's kind of weird watching these films, knowing that Dr. Seuss himself wouldn't be happy about them. From what I read, Chris Meledandri is good friends with Dr. Seuss's widow, and Illumination made a deal with her. So because of that, we have the Lorax.
Leave! Vacate the premises! Take your action! Yeah! And who are you? I'm the Lorax! Guardian of the forest! I speak for the trees!
The movie itself was okay, but I thought it was strange how they ended the film on a happy note. In the book, it was more foreboding, with a message of how serious environmental disaster can be. In the movie, everything was okay, which kind of defeats the message of the song.
For example, my new robots that I actually devised would actually consume plant matter and turn it. Well, these were called chlorogens, which turned chloroplast into a fuel, and then combined them with carbon. to make an ultimate fuel. However, you could say, well, destroying the plants are okay, but here's the thing, destroying the plants. Like, right now, Russia and Canada, if those countries and continents, those countries just gone, this world would end. You know, because of course, you know, carbon dioxide gets dissolved in carbon, CO2, carbon dioxide. So, the thing is, O2 is ozone. And what happens is that carbon loves to bond. It loves elements. It's a people. It's like that people person, where it's like that one person that loves everyone. Is the Chad of the group. So carbon just sticks to ozone, making carbon dioxide. And what happens when plants absorb this is that it says, hey, I like that carbon. So it takes the carbon, because sugar is C6H12O6. And C means carbon on the periodic table of elements. So it takes the carbon, uses it, and it spits out the ozone. We don't need this ozone. Take it. We don't want it. So then that happens, and we all know this as the very unspellable word, photosynthesis.
Also, there's a bit of irony.
Like PHOTOCY.
What's up, dude?
I'm planning on going back in the back and looking at the lightning strike. It struck.
It's hot here. Holy shit, it's warm in here.
Hey, maybe in a few minutes, would you like to go back with me?
What?
Go back with me, not too deep in the woods.
If you want ticks, it's a great plan.
I'm not gonna get ticks.
Fun of plastic in their merchandise.
Our research shows if you put something in a plastic bottle, people will buy it.
Exactly.
And what's more, when we build a new factory to make the plastic bottles, the air quality's just going to get worse.
Yeah, well, at least Danny DeVito did a good job as a Lorax.
You were you? I'm the trash man.
Follow me.
Oh my god, it's this game again? Congratulations, you improved the quality, but no.
Lorax was Despicable Me 2 in 2013. Illumination's first sequel. And needless to say, it was going to do well, but it exceeded expectations by a long.
The third one wasn't really the best, but the second one was okay. I liked it.
It was now very clear that the Despicable Me franchise was a titan in the world of animation and was Illumination's flagship. The movie itself was... it wasn't as fun or interesting as the first, but it wasn't terrible either. It was just... average. And that would be the theme for Illumination for years to come.
How come you're so fat?
Because my house is made of candy, and sometimes I eat instead of facing my problems.
In 2015, they arrived. The minions from Despicable Me were insanely popular, both with kids and adults. So it only made financial sense.
Yeah,
to make
that.
their own spin-off, even though it completely ignores the lore from the original movie.
Minions. Minions have been on this planet far longer than we have.
Out of all of the movies in Illumination's library, this one is the most notorious. It was everywhere, and people couldn't get enough of them. It was on a scale comparable to Frozen, and that goes for box office numbers too. The film made over $1 billion.
Damn.
Much more with their merchandise. And don't even get me started on the Facebook minion pages, which for some reason moms adore.
Christ. Minions don't get what?
The movie also got a lot of hate from people. That tends to happen when something is that popular. But as far as the movie itself goes, I found it average. Just like the last film and the one before that, these movies are all the same. Cute characters on a cute journey with slapstick and potty humor that kids and their parents love. And there's nothing wrong with that. I watched this movie with my nephew, and he loved it, and that's okay. What gets me, though, is how this type of success for Illumination only reinforces this mentality for them to keep the bar low and their budget even lower. 2016 was the first time Illumination released 2 movies in the same year. The Secret Life of Pets in July and Sing in December. Both were very successful financially, but incredibly average from a critical point of view. Honestly, that's the theme of this video, so we should be used to it by now. Secret Life is about talking pets. That's it. It's like Toy Story, but with animals, and people loved it. I mean, pets are universal.
I love it. The world of pets was, in my opinion, very beautiful.
Heartfelt story, trendy voice actors. Well, some of them used to be. Overall, the film was meh to me. I mean, it looks fine, but the story was just boring as hell.
Oh my god, big fluff.
And it did amazing at the box office. So that's all that really matters to Illumination.
Just ignore what just happened, okay?
Sing was also painfully average. It's just a save the record.
Sing wasn't my favorite. It's my most hated. It's my most hated.
Popular voice actor.
My most hated freaking Elimination film ever. Do not like it. Yay, all my beans are grown.
Illumination made 2 of them, with a third that almost qualified. Considering how long they've been around for, that's very impressive. Too bad their actual films aren't. As of right now, it's 2018, and the next film is The Bridge. I'm not too excited about this film. And Chuck
Wait, what? That? It was that long ago?
with a twisted smile. For Illumination's version, he looks soft, but you've got someone who is slightly mutated with a furrowed brow. It's a shame, too, because the original design for The Bridge was much more accurate to the books and original cartoon. This works, but this? Ugh, no thank you. Well, Illumination likes to play it safe, so I'm not surprised. Also, the advertising for this movie is absurd, and the internet is having a field day with it. Horizons of Illumination, and most of them are sequels. Secret Life of Pets 2, Sing 2.
I love memes. What?
Something original? Wait, no. I take it back. Honestly baffles me. I don't understand why Nintendo and Miyamoto would go with Illumination. They already have some of the characters appearing in Wreck-It Ralph, so why not stick with Disney? Perhaps it's because Universal is the parent company of Illumination, and Nintendo and Universal are partners building a theme park, so maybe that's why. But for a company that's all about quality, I'm surprised to see Nintendo side with Illumination. Hopefully, Nintendo will have control over the project, and the movie will be good. But I wouldn't hold my breath. Remember the last one?
Oh no. The budget 48 million, box office 20 million, stay net negative about 50%. Rayce. See this trailer? This is actually a good trailer. This is the best one in the game. See that arm in the back? Damn, that was a fat L. Some asshole had to leave his car on the road. Frick you. Oh wait, don't want to go up there. Okay, that's not good. Oh, Gorilla took original Rise Zero Dawn. And let's just say it's a little successful. But 97% on Google.
This concerns me. Dreamworks is not perfect. It makes awesome stuff with some real heart. Elimination oversees them. I'm afraid that they'll fall into the same situation as them. For example, the first thing Elimination runs in after buying their studio is get a strike signal in production to make a cash in on the franchise. Hopefully, Elimination will change in the future.
Comcast? Who's Comcast?
Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a like and sub for more future videos. Also, a shout out to all of my supporters on Patreon. If you want to support my content, go hit up the link in the description. Alright, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
I'm definitely gonna go soon. I'm surprised I got this field down pretty quick. %, guys. We're so close. Let's see. %. I really wish it showed decimals. We should have to trim, like, wait, less than a row of this. Should get it anytime now. And now we got it. You can see it in the. Yep, there it goes. Money! Money! 22. It's interesting. The good thing about their contracts is, unlike the other games, where you could just borrow stuff, you can actually use your own stuff. So when you had a tiny field, you know, you get a tiny cultivator, but like, I'd have a tiny field, a little bit of a medium-sized cultivator, right? We have to use the worst tractor in the game and the worst cultivator. And now I have something that's better. Now we're gonna do this, and it's gonna go fast. Hopefully fast. I mean, I know it's weird, but like, you know, look at that. Already to like 1%. 2%. 3%. 5%. Actually, I gotta go up and down. Wow, this field would actually be a pretty decent one to acquire. Oh, can it? The name of... What's a random name of a bot and... Name of a random bot in Crosso. Yes, look how much levels we're getting. That's all you have to do. Just be kind and help a farmer out. %. I mean, $900, I don't care. That's a nice amount of money in my pocket. I'm gonna have a lot of like normal crops up here, but then when I start moving up north, I might transform these crops into grass fields. Because if you actually look nearby, there's a spinnery. So what you do is we can just take grass and water. We can make a nice sheep farm. And for this example, right here would be a good place for either grass or for a sheep farm. The good thing is, the thing that, like, for example, he was offering the same one as, like, that little cultivator. Here's the thing. My cultivator is double that size. So, yeah. My tractor's, like, triple the... is like 3 times as better than his. It's a really nice tractor. Rice, 50%. After this one, I think I'm gonna get off. might be weird what I'm doing, but it's actually going to be a big brain move. It's weird, but just trust me. Big brain. Bye, guys.